ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the Saturday and Sunday series on Sri Harinam Chintamani. We are on the 15th chapter, discussing verse by verse how a sadhaka enters into the path of Raganuga Bhakti, and further how he attains perfection by attaining Bhava Bhakti and then Prema Bhakti. So the Prayojan goal has been discussed in chapter 15 of Sri Harinam Chintamani. And the internal journey of the progress and the advancement in Krishna consciousness, the internal journey, the subtleties of it is quite elaborately being discussed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this discussion. Now, any of the devotees remember which is the last verse we discussed in our last class? Last Saturday and Sunday, we did not have a class because there was a Ram Navami festival in all the centers. So we thought it is wise. So which is the last verse? Anyone has any idea? I want to know how much we remember what we discussed in the last class. Anyone has any idea? Anyone knows which is the last verse in Sri Harinam Chintamani we discussed? Vikram Singh Prabhuji, you were there in the last class, right? Okay.
Hare Krishna. Dandu Pranam Prabhuji.
Oh, I have muted. That's why I was not able to hear Vikram. Yes, Vikram Singh Prabhuji.
Dandu Pranam Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, can you repeat?
Which was the last verse we discussed in the Sri Harinam Chintamani? You remember?
Prabhuji, I wasn't there for last 1 week, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine, fine.
Yes, my mom's got legs ankle surgery, so I was there in the hospital. So
Let me share the screen, the PDF. So I'm sharing the screen. Nija Siddha Bhava Guru Deveke Janibe. One learns his spiritual identity from the spiritual master. So we saw how there is the Ekadasha Bhav, 11 identities, your name, your age, your dress, your service, so many things. And it all begins with the practice of Raganuga Bhakti when you attain Shravandasha. And a general identity we have that I am spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. So with that further, you have some idea of what is your constitutional rasa. You are attracted to more Krishna's pastimes with his friends in the Sakya Ras, or you're attracted more to the Madhurya pastimes with the gopis, and you have taste for hearing those kathas. And you have an intense greed and desire to attain the same mood of these Vrajvasis, and you emulate or follow in their footsteps. And that practice is called as Raganu Bhakti, following in the footsteps of the eternal associates who are called as Ragatmika Bhaktas. So, finer details of how one's identity is confirmed by the spiritual master, and the spiritual master should converse confidentially with the disciple, and his identity is fixed, and he should try to revive his identity, and then he has to accept it firmly. He has to accept this identity firmly, and after that, what he does, there are some obstacles. We saw this obstacles in this path of worship. Oh, let me see. Okay, I've shared the. I hope you are able to hear the audio. So he should meditate like this, and his meditation should be appropriate. And if one's meditation is not appropriate, one will not attain perfection even after many yugas. And the next stage is Apandasha. This also we have discussed in the last class. There is Shravandasha, there is Varandasha, and then there is Smarandasha. Shravan, Varan, Smaran, and Apan. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to discuss Apan, and then he'll go back to Smarandasha and the 5 substages, which we'll be discussing today. So in the stage of Apandasha, he starts meditating with a deep vow, and he comes to the stage of Apandasha. He comes to the pure stage of Apandasha by meditating on his original spiritual identity. And then the Baddha Jiva, Ekrame Bhava Prapta Hon, the conditioned soul gradually retains his spiritual identity. Okay, so now I will be beginning the discussion from text 84. Text 84 to 86. How the Baddha Jiva can attain his original spiritual identity has been discussed. Now, there is a footnote which is part of here, and I think we have discussed this footnote. So we will start directly from text 84. Jada Bhaddha Jiva Bhuli Nija Siddha Sattva Jada Abhimane Hoy Jada Deha Matta, forgetting his true spiritual identity. Bhuli Nija Siddha Sattva, the soul imprisoned in the material world. Jada Baddha Jiva becomes bewildered and thinks his external body as his true self. Jada Abhiman Hoye, Jada Deha Matta. Matta means mad or intoxicated or bewildered. So the living entity in this material world is highly intoxicated. The highest intoxication is what? Anyone knows what is the highest level of intoxication? There are many types of intoxications we have in this material world. People take alcohol to get intoxicated. People take drugs. There are so many things by which they want to get intoxicated. But what is the highest level of intoxication in this material world? Anyone knows? Prabhupada spoke about it once. Anyone knows can raise their hand? What is the highest level of intoxication? Yes, Satyavrat Chaitanya Prabhuji.
It is lusty desires, Prabhu, highest intoxication.
Yeah, okay, but still, there is a hint is very clearly given in that verse. Anyone else would like to try? What is the highest level of intoxication? Prabhupada said the highest level of intoxication is to consider ourselves as this body. This itself is an intoxication. And on top of that, being intoxicated that I am this body, this is madness. It's real madness. And above that, you take intoxicants, get high. And instead of getting high, you go low. You open your path. Trivida narkasedam dwaram nashanam kama krodha tatalobas tasmat etam trayam tajet. So the others follow. Kama, krodha and all follow. Yes, in one sense it is lust, but the intoxication is we consider ourselves as this body. That is intoxication. And because we consider this ourselves as body, we want to enjoy with this body. So Srila Prabhupada says that one who realizes I'm not his body, there is no question of sense gratification. So sense gratification is intoxication. So one who has realized who is not his body, he will not engage in enjoying in the body at all. He's enjoying spiritual pleasure by doing spiritual practice. So that's the point here. Jada abhiman hoye, jada deha matta. Matta means intoxicated. So material body is a true self. So there is a footnote here. So let me go through the footnote. The way the individual soul attains perfection is described here. The individual soul is a tiny particle of pure spirit. When he attains perfection, the soul manifests his spiritual form, original spiritual form, committing an offense to the law to Lord Krishna and then forgetting his true spiritual identity. A rebellious soul is thrust into Maya's prison. So this is our root cause that Krishna bhuliya bhoga vancha kare, japatiya tara Japatiya Maya Tara Dhare. Pushed into the material body because we get covered by avidya. Pushed into the material body, the soul becomes mad, matta, as I was mentioning, and thinks that the external body is a true self. This is madness. This is madness. By the mercy of a pure devotee, spiritual master, Shuddha Guru, the soul can understand his original spiritual identity. It is a very easy thing. In this passage, the soul's gradual development of his original form is described. The souls imprisoned by Maya may take gradual advancement in devotional service. One way of advancement is Vaidhi Bhakti, devotional service and practice. Another is Raganuga Bhakti, devotional service in spontaneous love. In the beginning, one thinks that Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti are different. But when one attains bhava, ecstatic love for Lord Krishna, one understands that they are not really different. By following the rules of scripture, one makes gradual advancement in Vaidhi Bhakti. Then, when one yearns to serve the Lord as his personal associate in Braj, one makes gradual advancement in by means of Raganuga Bhakti. This means that in the beginning, one engages in devotional service in a general kind of way, and at the end, one engages in a rare and a special kind of devotional service. So basically, in this footnote, how the conditioned soul attains perfection, and he's imprisoned by Maya because of avidya Shakti, and by spiritual master's mercy, he understands his pure spiritual position, and the soul gradually makes advancement through Vaidhi and Raganuga Bhakti and attain perfection. There is no difference between Vaidhi and Raganuga, but in the beginning we think there is difference. One is in the stage of practice, one is in the stage of maturity. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is nicely explaining one is a general kind of service and one is a specific kind of service following a specific mode. So that's the footnote. Text 85. Tabe Krishna Lila Kariya Shravan Lobahoya Paibar Nija Siddha Dhana. However, if he hears about Lord Krishna's pastimes, the soul will hanker to regain the great treasure of his original spiritual identity. So when this lobe develops, the factor which will decide when you can take up to Raganuga practice is lobe, greed, intense greed to attain that same mood of these eternal associates. And impelled by that greed, you neglect, your practice of sadhana based on rules and regulations. Now, no more anyone has to tell you to get up early in the morning to attend Mangalarti. You are eager, you're hankering, you're yearning. Oh, when I can go in the morning and have the beautiful darshan of the Lord at the Brahma Muhurt hour. And having this darshan, we chant, when will I chant in ecstasy? Whole night he's preparing his consciousness. Otherwise, with rules and regulations, the temple commander has to wake you up, get up, and you feel, oh, I want to sleep more. The effects of modes of passion and ignorance are still affecting you. But at the stage of Nishtha, especially when he's very steady in his devotion, and that's why now he has developed that, intensity to attain that same mood of the Vrajvasis, and he wants to follow in their footsteps and practice Raganuga Bhakti. So then when this lobe comes, that hankering, this is spiritual hankering, then he can attain his original identity. Tabe bhava tatma smriti anukshana kare bhavayata bade tara bhranti tata hare. At every moment, anukshana, if the soul meditates on his original spiritual identity, he gradually revives his true nature. Smriti, Bhava Tattva. Now, he's meditating on the Bhava Tattva. That means his original Bhava in the spiritual world, original mood of service. He will gradually revive his true nature. His material illusion is then dispelled. Bhava yata bade. Bade. Bade means it will increase. And Bhranti tata hare. The Bhranti, the illusion will slowly start coming up, down. Now we will see the next section, which is text 87 to 88. Any questions you have regarding these 2-3 verses we discussed? Any questions, any clarifications? Anyone has any questions about these 2 verses? 84, 85, 86. Okay, so we'll go to next section. The bhajan of confidential worship. Now you see, as I mentioned, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has indicated about the goal. That is prayojan, bhava. But somebody is at stage of Nishta and he has developed that mood. Oh, I want to worship Krishna in Sakya Ras and I want to follow the eternal associates, Sridhama and Sudhama. Or I want to worship in the mood of the gopis and they want to follow Srimati Radharani and the gopis. And he wants to attain that goal. The goal is the Apan Dasha. He has not attained that goal. But if the goal is hinted, then you will strive for that goal. So first the prayojan is mentioned. So there are 3 things we need to know always in philosophy. And every scripture we have to understand. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sambandha, Abhidhaya, Prayojan. Krishna hai sambandh, bhakti, abhidaya hoy, prema prayojan. Veda ei teen vastu kahe. Krishna is sambandha. We have to develop our relationship with Krishna, sambandha. And bhakti hai abhidaya. What is the process by which we can develop that relationship with Krishna? By bhakti. And what is the goal? Prem. Prema hai prayojan. And this is a very universal principle. I see a BMW car. Oh, I want to have the BMW car. You have developed in sambandha. Your heart has become attracted to BMW car. And then abhidaya. What is the process? Oh, I'll have to, go to the showroom. The price of the car is 80 lakhs. I've been doing business this year and I'll make more profits. I'll work very hard, make more profits, take a small bank loan, and then I'll have the BMW car. So the next 1 or 2 years, you're working to get the BMW car. And then when the right time comes, you go to the car showroom, you hand over the check, and you now have the BMW car. You have attained prayojan. And now you're driving the BMW car. You feel certain kind of happiness, but that doesn't last for long. You see a Jaguar car coming, you become envious. So that prem, material prem in this world, that love turns into envy. And this is for any object of this world, be it the lover and beloved, be it anything, because the material objects are not the real vastu for us. So why I'm discussing here this is to understand why did Bhaktivinoda Thakur first discuss Apan Dasha, which is prayojan. Because usually Sambandh, Abhidaya, Prayojan, we go through this, but first comes Prayojan. You see the BMW car and I want it. You have developed Sambandh, then you work for it, process to get the BMW car. At last, when you get it, you get the Prayojan. So similarly, you will attain your pure bhava at the stage of Apandasha. Now you are attracted to follow that mood. And now, what is the process? What is the bhakti process? It's not Vaidhi bhakti now, it is Raganuga bhakti. So you have to constantly practice Smaran Dasha. So that's why now he's coming back to Smaran Dasha Smaran Dasha is the third Dasha. If you remember here, he discussed now Apan Dasha, which is the goal to attain Bhava Bhakti, Prayojan. And now he's coming back to the Smaran Dasha. He has already discussed Shravan Dasha and Varan Dasha. And from here he jumped, Bhaktivinoda Thakur jumped to Apan Dasha. But this is Prayojan. That's why he first hinted at the Prayojan. Everyone is attracted to the goal. Why does a person work very hard? Because he wants to build a house and he wants to have a car. That's his goal. So the goal is always first mentioned. So the goal is to attain Apan Dasha. What is the process? The Smaran Dasha. So now he's going to discuss the Smaran Dasha. I hope this is clear, this point. Any questions on this? Any clarifications? Okay. So now let me go to this section, 87 and 88. Smaran Dasha tahate vaidi o raganugata bhavera bhed sheshatira a prayojan. The stages of meditation, Smaran Dasha. Dasha means state. The divisions of devotional service by following the regulations. Tahate Vaidi or Raganuga Bhavera Bhed. Bhed means divisions. Vaidi and Raganuga. Devotional service in rules and regulations and spontaneity. The need for the later. What is the Sheshatar? Shesh means the second one, Raganuga. Why is the need for it? So in two verses, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is discussing. Smarana Dvida Vaidi Raganuga ar Raganuga Smriti Yukti Shastra Haite Para. Meditation, Smarana, is of two kinds. Vaidi, following the rules and regulations, and Raganuga, following the path of spontaneous love. Following the descriptions in the appropriate scriptures, one may attain Raganuga meditation. So, please remember that when we take up to devotional service, we engage in sadhana bhakti. And sadhana bhakti has these two divisions. So anyone knows what are the two divisions in sadhana bhakti? What are the two divisions in sadhana bhakti? Anyone would like to answer? The two divisions in sadhana bhakti. Yes, Satyavrat Chetan Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, this Vaidi Sadhana Bhakti, Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti.
Yes, it is Vaidi Sadhana Bhakti and Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Now, in Vaidi Sadhana Bhakti also, in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, after defining Vaidi Sadhana Bhakti, Rupa Goswami gives scriptural references to prove his point on Vaidi Sadhana Bhakti. And he quotes the famous verse from the Padma Puran, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavya Najatuchit, Sarve Vidhi Nishedasyor, Etayor Eva Kinkara. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. But of course, in Vaidi Sadhana Bhakti, it is not possible to continuously remember Krishna because of the anarthas. Because of the anarthas, we cannot remember Krishna continuously. So, once we start continuously remembering Krishna by Vaidi path, the Vaidi path is, now you know in Smaran, there are two divisions, Vaidi as well as Raganuga. So meditation in the Vaidi sadhana bhakti is to meditate on the meaning of the scriptures, is to meditate on what you have heard from the spiritual master, is to meditate by regularly hearing lectures, Srila Prabhupada lectures, is to remember by reciting shlokas, reciting various songs. So usually sadhakas don't do this as a sadhana. So here I'm emphasizing a very important aspect of our practice of devotional service, and that is that remembrance is not continuous in Vaidhi because of anarthas, because the heart is impure. And devotees who strenuously strive to remember Krishna. And how they should do? By hearing about Krishna and what you have heard in the classes, to try to recollect mananam. Oh, this was the point. I like this point. Write down that point. And to recite shlokas, the Gita shlokas, the favorite Bhagavatam shlokas, the Chaitanya Charitamrita shlokas. As a regular sadhana, every day one should try to do shloka recitations. And by doing this, this is called as smaran in the Vaidhi path. So by continuously remembering like this, bhajans, I spoke about bhajans also. By doing this, what will happen? You're remembering Krishna, so the heart is getting purified. So then anarth nivritti will happen quickly, and you'll advance in Vaidhi sadhana bhakti and come to the Raganaga sadhana platform. So that is the point I wanted to emphasize. The smaran has these two divisions. Now there is also difference in the meditation what we do in Vaidhi sadhana bhakti and in Raganuga. Raganuga meditation is more refined. In Vaidhi, we have to put efforts to remember the shlokas, to remember the bhajans, to remember the songs, to remember what we have heard in the classes. But in Raganuga stage, with the purification of the heart, you see that there is somewhere written Govardhan. The moment you see that, you'll immediately remember the hill Govardhan and you go in a trip. Oh, when will I go to Govardhan? Or you feel that I'm actually in Govardhan. So like that, the remembrance is more spontaneous because of the purification of the heart in Raganuga sadhana. So that is the important point I wanted to mention, that Raganuga meditation is more spontaneous. Okay, so I hope this verse is very clear. What is this divisions of Smaran in Vaidhi and Raganuga? Next verse. Madhurya Krishta Hoya Kareya Smarana Achira Te Prapta Hoya Dasha Bhavapana. Attracted by the mellow of Madhurya Ras. So if one meditates very, very meticulously in Vaidhi sadhana bhakti about Krishna, and the meditation is here very general. I told you shlokas, songs, on the lectures, what you have heard, Shravanam, Mananam. So like that, if you do, then you will become attracted. Madhurya akrishta hoy kare smaran. The spontaneous, meditation for the rasa will happen. This happens with the purification of the heart at Nishta and Ruchi stages. And meditating in that way, one quickly attains the stage of Apan Dasha. Achireta prapta hoy dasha bhavapan. So you attain the dasha of bhavapan dasha, it is called, or Apan Dasha. Sometimes it is called as Apan Dasha or Bhavapan Dasha. Bhavapan Dasha means actually you attain the stage of Bhava. So as I have told you, Apan Dasha, you attain Bhava here. This begins here from Nishta. Ruchi and Asakti are Varandasha and Smarandasha. This is Bhava stage. This is Prema stage. So you attain Bhavapan. Okay. Now let us go to text 89 to 91. Text 89 to 91. Vaidhi Bhaktira Unnati Krame. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you see how systematically he is taking up the discussion. He has mentioned that Smaran is of two, Vaidhi and Raganuga. And with matured meditation or remembrance in Vaidhi, one will become attracted to Madhurya Ras, and then he'll attain Bhava. Again, he's explaining the goal of Bhava, but now he's coming back again, explaining the goal, how to meditate Vaidhi, how a devotee following the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, devotional service gradually becomes elevated. So how from Vaidhi you will become elevated to Raganuga and then Bhava. Okay, so this is from text 89 to 91. So we will take this section. Vaidhi Bhakta Smriti Kale Sada Vicharaya Anukula Yukti Shastra Yakhana Ei Hoy. Following the descriptions in appropriate scriptures. Vaidhi Bhakti Smriti Kale Sada Vicharya. Vicharya means to think, to contemplate. The devotee following the path of rules and regulations, Vaidhi Bhakti, may always become wrapped in constant meditation. Smriti Kale Sada Vicharya. So, can anyone tell us? We are all practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, but still we are, in one sense, you see, uh, still in the kindergarten, in nursery, because Shuddha Bhakti, practice of Ananya Bhakti is very, very elevated. And now we are just practicing some core devotional activities like hearing and chanting our 16 rounds, following the 4 regulative principles. But other times we are engaged in our work, or we are engaged in activities according to our conditioned nature. But I want from devotees to some examples how a Vedic sadhaka should engage in constant meditation. What are the different ways by which you can attain uh, some practical hints? I want devotees to mention how he can remember, meditate in the Vaidhi sadhana stage. How one can meditate in the Vaidhi sadhana stage. Yes, Vikram.
Prabhuji. By taking seva in the temple, by taking whichever the seva is given in the temple, and also we rigorous seva at home.
I'm not able to hear you clearly.
I was cooking. Hello.
Now it's better.
But I was telling, by taking all the sevas in the temple, by constantly engaging in the sevas in the temple, and also doing vigorous seva at home properly.
No, I want some practical. You see, there is meditation mentioned in the Vaidya. I want some practical thing which you would like to engage in Vaidhi sadhana meditation. Okay, Sunita Mataji. Yes, that is there.
Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
Yes.
Constant chanting, reading Bhagavatam, Kirtan.
No, you see, I want to know what is the kind of meditation we need to do constantly in the Vaidhi stage. Yes, Reena Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। एक्चुअली हम लोग जब भगवान का नाम लेते हैं तो वी नो, मतलब हम लोग ऐसा नहीं सोचते कि भगवान और भगवान का नाम एक है। हम लोग बस मतलब मालूम है, लेकिन वी एक्चुअली भगवान और भगवान का नाम एक है। हम ये सोच के अगर उतनी दृढ़ता से नाम ले तो हमारा मतलब हमारी साधना अच्छी हो जाएगी।
Yes, see, this is again general understanding. I want some practical way by which we can. Okay, I'll give you an example, and then you tell me how we can engage in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti meditation. Okay, now all of you just reflect upon it. You have heard a very nice Krishna Katha. While hearing, you relish the Krishna Katha. Now, as Vaidhi Sadhakas, how after hearing this Krishna Katha, what is the practical thing you will do to do Vaidhi meditation? Vaidhi Sadhaka meditations. A sadhaka who is practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, how will he meditate after hearing this one Krishna Katha? Yes. Now I think my question is also specific, so I expect some devotees to answer. Yes.
The sadhaka will constantly share the Harikatha with whomever he meets.
Okay, before he shares, what he will do?
He will contemplate on that Harikatha.
Yes. He should contemplate on that Harikatha. Yes. Any other further? Madan Deshpande Prabhuji, what will he do?
Remember Krishna in all small things, Prabhuji.
No. Let's give a precise,
Yes,
answer.
you
Like I've
continue.
heard a Krishna Katha. I've heard a Krishna Katha now, 1 hour. And as a Vaidhi Sadhaka, how will I do meditation on what I've heard? What are the practical ways I can do meditation on what I've
You
heard 1
contemplate,
year?
you contemplate on it and discuss with others, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Whomever you meet,
that
you share with them.
yeah, that was told by one devotee. But anything else, we can do many things.
Maybe note down the points.
Yes, very important. They note down the points. So maybe you might not have noted the points while the class was going on, but when you go home back, this is a practice devotees should start doing. Otherwise, we will be stuck in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti for millions of lives. We are not going to make any further advancement. You'll have to find out different ways and means by which what you have heard, you're going to contemplate. So before contemplation is, yes, as sadhakas, it is important that we write down the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I write down all these points, and then when the flow is very systematic and logical, I discuss them. Before I discuss, I understood this point. I understood this point. So now I can on one-to-one basis discuss with another devotee. Maybe the husband can discuss with the wife can with the husband, the friend can discuss with another friend devotee. And like that, when we do this discussion, then what you have heard the subject starts getting internalized. It starts getting internalized. Oh, which was the verse quoted by him? Let me go and see that verse and see the deeper meaning of that verse. See the word-to-word meaning. And, let me recite this verse. And today I have taken the task that, in today's class, this verse was recited and I liked this verse. So let me note down a chit on a small paper, note down the verse and translation on backside and keep it in my pocket for that day. And whenever I get time, I try to recite that verse throughout the day and try to recollect and try to memorize that verse. So this Vaidhi sadhakas should do if they want to, make advancement in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there is no chance. We will be stuck up and will not make any substantial progress in our Krishna consciousness in this life or in the future lives. Because as Kali Yuga is going to advance, technology is going to advance and it's going to become more and more difficult. So we have to take this instruction very, very seriously as Vaidhi sadhakas, that we constantly try to meditate. Now, I'm showing the verse from Updeshamrit text 7. Swat Krishnamadi Charitadisitapya Vidya Pittopatapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintu Hadarat Anudinam Kalusaiva Jushta Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tadagada Mulahantri. So Krishna's name, form, qualities, they are like nectar, sugar candy. But we have been covered by avidya. Just like the jaundice patient cannot taste sugar candy. Na ruchikanu. So we don't have actually Krishna Katha ruchi, frankly speaking. We don't have ruchi. But we, as sadhakas, has been told to regularly come and attend festivals. We have ruchi, little attraction, little taste, very less. But so it doesn't taste like nectar, Krishna Katha for us. But what is the solution? Kintu adarat anudinam. Now I am focusing on anudinam. Now what is Prabhupada saying? Anudinam. See the word-to-word translation. Every day or 24 hours daily. Now every day refers to whom? Which kind of a sadhaka can do this every day? This meditation. you know, it refers to which sadhaka, which type of sadhaka? Anyone? Every day, remembering Krishna. Which are the sadhaka every day try to remember Krishna? I think I'm clear about my question. We are discussing the two types of meditation, Vaidhi sadhakas and Raganuga sadhakas. So the Vaidhi sadhakas, for them, it is being mentioned, every day. So every day you should come to the class. Every day you hear. Every day you make the points. Every day you share the points with some friend devotee. And that way you are doing your Vaidhi meditation. Every day you make a point to recite one shloka. Keep it in the pocket and throughout the day try to recollect. Every day, you study a particular section of the Gita or a particular section of the Bhagavatam and then try to recollect what you have studied. If we are not going to do this as a sadhana, then we will not come to the point where we can 24 hours daily meditate on Krishna. This 24 hours is only possible in Raganuga sadhana, but it is sometimes interrupted. The Smaran Dasha, we will see that time it will become more clear. But at Bhava Bhakti, it is 24 hours meditation on Krishna. That's it. Even in your sleep, you are meditating, you are seeing dreams, you are seeing dreams about, what you have read in Krishna Lila book. So I've been focusing devotees about most important is Smaran in Vaidhi stage. Prabhupada said every day devotee should read the Krishna book in the night, half an hour, and go to sleep. Of course, I'm not doing it, but I would like to, because I'm focusing on some other topics now, which are of prime importance for me. But yes, for many years, I used to also regularly read the Krishna book. So every day make it a point so that when I go to sleep, let me dream about Krishna's pastimes. So like this, as Vaidhi sadhakas, try to make a list that this is the things of Vaidhi meditation I'm going to start from today, reciting a shloka or making the points or discussing with my friend devotee or reading the Krishna book, like that. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasan. This is what I'm going to do. So that's why I'm a little more in detail discussing. One will become wrapped in constant meditation. So like that, when we continuously in Vaidhi Bhakti are wrapped in constant meditation, then what will happen? We'll come to the Raganuga stage where we attain this Bhavapan. Bhavapane hoye bhava avirbhav kala shastra yukti chhade tabi janiya janjala. So like that, wrapped in constant meditation in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, what will happen? Then when he finally regains his original spiritual identity, the devotee turns away from the rules and regulations of scriptures, knowing them to be only trouble at that stage. Shastra Yukti Chade. He practices spontaneously devotion to Krishna without any rules and regulations of Shastra. Now here you have to understand, he will follow the Vaidhi rules, but it's not devotion to Krishna with awe and reverence, but it is spontaneous out of love. Krishna is my friend, Krishna is my lover, Krishna is my son. So in that kind of, not following the Vaidhi rules. Oh, Krishna is Narayan or he's Vaikuntapati. Not Krishna, the Lord is Vaikuntapati and I am his. So there is there. So there is no awe and reverence there. So there is spontaneous love towards Krishna and not considering Krishna as God, Krishna as friend, lover, like that. So Shastra Yukta Chadi Tabi Jani Janjal. He says this is Janjal, the Shastra Yukti. And then he attains, Bhava, Avirbhava Kal. So Bhava, he'll attain this stage. That's what this verse is saying. Now, Shraddha Nishtaruch Asakti Krame Ei Bhav Apana Samayataha Hoya Avirbhav. So it's not that Vaidhi by constant rapid meditation, suddenly he'll attain bhava. No, there are different stages. Shraddha, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Krame, Oya, Bhav. One after the other, the devotee attains interest, faith, attraction, and attachment. Attachment is Asakti, that is the stage of Asakti. And then attraction is Ruchi. Faith is Nishta. Faith is Nishta. And Shraddha is interest in Raganuga Bhakti. So here it is not Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, those 9 stages. So here from a different angle, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so he attains interest in attaining a particular mood, and he has Nishta in that, attaining that mood, and then he develops attraction or taste and attachment. Krame by then his original identity is attained. Apana samaya taha hoy avarbhav. So with asakti, because after asakti, what is the stage? Bhava. So he'll attain bhava. Then his original identity is attained. That attainment is apana dasha. The apana dasha. So now there is a footnote by Bhaktivinoda Thakur about text here, apan dasha. The word attainment here means the arrival of apan dasha. So he arrives at the stage of apan dasha. Now, just to give an example, you are going to the airport, you enter into the territory of the entire airport complex. It's as good as you entered the airport. But you're moving in ahead, you come to the departure lounge, and then you enter inside the airport, and then you sit in the airplane. So these are again different levels, stages. So Apan Dasha means you're entering the airport complex, the whole building, there is a road still ahead going to reach the airport, but you've entered the whole complex. So attainment is arrival of Apan Dasha. Now, I will take this one verse, 92, and then we will stop for today. Tomorrow we will discuss the Panch Vida Smaran, the 5 kinds of meditation. The followers of Raganuga and Vaidhi devotional service do not attain different results. Apana dashaya Raganuga Vaidhi bhaktira bhed nai. Bhavapana Raganuga Vaidhi bhakta bhed nahi thake kono mate gaye smriti ved. Followers of Raganuga and Vaidhi devotional service do not attain different results. This is said in the Vedas and Smriti Shastras. Now, this requires a little explanation. Okay. Now, we practice what is called as the Uttama Bhakti. Of course, we are not at the level of full practice of Uttama Bhakti because ahetuki apratihata means the Bhakti should not be interrupted. It should be continuous. We cannot able to do that. So we are not still entered the, the Ananya Bhakti, or as Uttama Bhakti definition is, Anukayulena Krishna Anushilanam. With favorable attitude towards Krishna, cultivation continuously. Continuously means again 24 hours. So we are not at the stage, but we are practicing the core activities of hearing, chanting, and following the regulative principles. And our faith is getting nourished, where we come to a stage where our faith becomes very strong and we give up everything else. Sarva dharman paritejya mamekam sharanam braja. Then we come to the stage of practice of Ananya Bhakti. We give up everything and completely surrender, because that matured faith, or what is called as Purna Shraddha, is Sharanagati. We completely surrender to Krishna. Surrender to Krishna means no turning back towards Maya. So there the Vaidhi sadhana practice begins. And We practice Vaidini Sadhana Bhakti and then go to Radharana Sadhana Bhakti. And with Radharana Sadhana Bhakti, we'll attain Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making a point that the followers of Raganuga and Vaidhi devotional service do not attain different results. That means, is there a chance that we can attain different results? Is my question to you all. Is there a chance that we can attain different results? If one practices only Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti in this life, will he attain Golok Vrindavan? Yes or no? Anyone would like to answer? Anyone would like to answer? If one practices Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti in this life, will he attain Golok Vrindavan? Anyone would like to answer? Sunita Mataji? Yes, Satyavrat Chaitanya Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, to attain Golok Vrindavan, one should be in the stage of Ragatmika Bhakti. So by gradually practicing...
No. One should not be at the stage of Ragatmika Bhaktas are eternal devotees of the spiritual world.
Prabhu, to reach the spiritual world, they should be in the stage of Ragatmika Bhakti. No, Prabhu.
No.
Gradually practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, we elevate, then we can attain.
No. If one is in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, will he attain Golok Vrindavan?
No, Prabhu.
Okay, no. Why will not attain Golok Vrindavan? Think about it a little bit, not a problem. Why will not attain Golok Vrindavan?
For attaining Golok Vrindavan, one should be cross out this Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, the rules and regulations. Beyond these things, we have to reach the stage of Ragatmika Bhakti, I think.
Ragatmika, no. Raganuga Bhakti.
Raganuga Bhakti, okay. There is the next intermediate stage.
Yeah, one has to come to Raganuga Bhakti, and in Raganuga Bhakti, you follow the Ragatmika Bhaktas.
Yes.
So, one who doesn't come to the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, he cannot attain. Now, this is first thing. Okay. So, I hope it is clear for the devotees. Sunita Mataji, you have something to say?
Hare Krishna, I couldn't get the question, Prabhuji, because I had some disturbance around.
Yeah, if one is practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, will he attain Golok Vrindavan? That was the question. Okay, now my next question is, if one takes up to Raganuga Bhakti, but still he is attracted to worship of Krishna and Rukmini, will he attain Golok Vrindavan? Anyone would like to answer? Yes.
No, Prabhuji.
Why? What is the reason?
Because if he's worshipping Lakshmi Narayan or Vittal Rukmini, he's going to go to Vaikuntha Dham, which is not the the bhav in Vaikuntha Dham is of servant and master, and in Golok Vrindavana it is of means Madhurya bhav is practiced in Golok Vrindavan. So since Madhurya bhav is not there in Vaikuntha Dham, in the bhakti of Vittal Rukmini, Madhurya, he will attain Vaikuntha only.
Now let me clarify a few things. In Vaikuntha also there is Lakshmi Narayan there. So among Lakshmi and Narayan there is Madhurya Bhav in one sense. In Ayodhya Dham also there is Sita and Ram. In Dwarka also there are the Mahishis, the queens of Krishna. There is Madhurya. You cannot say that there is no Madhurya Bhav. So hear my question very carefully. If one is taken up to Raganuga Sadhana and is still attracted to worshipping of Krishna and Rukmini, will he attain Golok? Your answer is correct, no, but why it is not? Why it is not so? Anyone would like to more clarify something? Yes. Yes, Vikram.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Golok Vrindavan is the Dharma of Radha and Krishna Prabhuji, not Rukmani.
Pardon?
Golok Vrindavan is the Dham for Radha and Krishna.
Yes, so?
The person attracted to Rukmani may not be able to go to Golok Vrindavan of Radharani.
Yeah, that's why we'll have to study the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu very, very meticulously. If one is taken up to Ragana Sadhanabadhi and he has to follow, because Ragatmika Bhaktas are only the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan, like Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Sridhama, Sudama, and the Gopis. So, if a Raganuga Sadhaka is still attracted to the opulent worship of Krishna and Rukmini, that means his bhakti is tinged with little awe and reverence, Aishwarya Bhav. And he's not still able to give up the worship of meditation on or Archa Vigraha or meditation on Rukmini and Krishna. So that means he will attain a different destination and he'll not be able to attain Golok. So this is the important point. That's what I wanted to little make a distinction. So all this is very nicely discussed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So there can be different results. That was the point I discussed. But if one practices Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, meditating on Vraja Krishna and the eternal associates, then they will not attain different result. And this is being spoken in the Vedas and Smriti Shastras. Especially our Gaudiya Shastras also speak about it. So in tomorrow's class, we will be discussing the 5 kinds of meditation. Very important topic. And there are 5 stages in this, sub-stages you can say, Smarana, Dharana, Dhyana, Anusmriti and Samadhi. So here in the chart, if you see on the PPT, the Smaran Dasha has these 5 subdivisions, Smarana, Dharana, Dhyana, Anusmriti. So you go from the Shravan Dasha, there is also meditation here, Varan Dasha, but in the Smaran Dasha, there are these 5 subdivisions. So this is the internal journey again. And then you come to Apan Dasha. You enter the airport. And then how you attain Sampati Dasha. So now the much finer understanding will come in the next class. We will stop now here. I'll just summarize what we discussed today. Today we began the discussion basically from where we left last. How the Apan Dasha is attained. And the jiva, how gradually from the conditioned state can attain his original identity. Firstly, the jiva is intoxicated and he thinks the body is the self. And he has to hear Krishna's pastimes and he hankers to attain that treasure, that bhav. And when he meditates on that his original identity, he will he'll revive it. And then his maya is destroyed. Bhava, at the stage of bhava, the maya is destroyed. Avidya is fully destroyed. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes on to give the divisions of Smaran Dasha. In Vaidhi also there is Smaran Dasha, and Raganuga also there is Smaran, meditation. I discussed quite elaborately how we as devotees practically should practice meditation in our Vaidhi sadhana. And we should work on it. Otherwise, many lives will be spending in Vaidhi sadhana bhakti only. We will not internally purify our subtle body, where anarth nivritti will happen and we'll come to the stage of Raganuga practice. So it is a very important thing. And then you will be attracted to the Madhurya Ras and you will attain quickly Apan Dasha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur directly goes to the Prayojan. But I mentioned that there are these 3 things, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. But first you come across the Prayojan. First you see the BMW car, Prayojan. Then you develop Sambandh with it. Then you work to get the BMW car. And then automatically later on you attain, after 2 years of hard work, attain the BMW car. So first he explains about the goal. And then we discussed how devotee in the path of Vaidhi Bhakti gradually gets elevated to become Satatam, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu. And we saw how to become wrapped in constant meditation. So as sadhakas, Vaidhi sadhakas, we should practice this, absorption, and then you'll attain the bhava stage. And there are, it's not that directly Vaidhi sadhana, you are absorbed in meditation and you attain bhava. No, there is nishta, ruchi, asakti stages. And we saw the last verse, text 92 today, that Vaidhi and Raganuga don't give different results, but they give the same results as all the Vedas speak. They do give different results, and those criteria we discussed. So any questions, any further clarification anyone wants? So tomorrow is a very important class where we'll be discussing the 5 subdivisions of Smaran Dasha. So we'll stop here. Shri Harinam Chintamani ki Jai.